Hey guys, let's examine Bethel's Alabaster prayer house real quick. Bethel Church has a building called the Alabaster Prayer House. That would be it. Where alleged healings take place. There is a pyramid that glows red at night, along with architecture that resembles Templar design. Giza, Pyramid of Giza, is said to have originally been white, and it was alabaster, and the alabaster was taken by one of the Caesars and used as a pathway along one of the rivers that he had taken over in some area close by, and that's why there's not alabaster on the outside of the pyramid anymore. Now, from the top, we have, okay, you guys have to remember, from a flat earth, from a biblical understanding of scriptural flat earth, if we are on the flat plane and God is on top of the snow globe, just so that you have a idea of the firmament, if he's on top of that and he's looking down, then he's looking straight on top of us, and he's seeing these Templar monuments that are popping up in places that he's looking down on us, and he's seeing these. Now, after I saw this design, I was on a conversation with Court Lindahl because I found another Templar designed building that looked like this kind of a floor plan. And so I went to him and I asked him about it. He explained to me that this was very common in Freemasonry, and you get these type of buildings when you become a 32nd degree Templar. This is a Templar Venus worship building. You see the red of the roof, that red octagon, that same octagon, each of the corners of that octagon is where there is a concrete pillar that goes down to the ground, and then it braces up big, like probably 6 by 18 or 6 by 12 trusses that go from beam to beam. And let me show you this. Okay, so this is how common the octagon is. This one also, look up on the top, the very, very top of it, it's got that little steeple octagon that for all Freemason buildings, they think that God, I forget what that quote is. It's inside, I've got 3 different videos about this. So this is the Chapel of the Templars. This is the exact same octagon with an entrance coming into it. So that will be on 8 pillars also. Those 8 pillars, if you go and watch the History Channel and see the, what's the name of it? It is the, hold on, let me pause. Okay, I'm going over into this video real quick so that I can find the information that I was looking for, because the name is not coming to my head. Okay, this building is also 8 pillars, but they've taken the skin off of the outside of the building, and they end up explaining in this video that this is a Venus worship. It will line up with the celestial body of Venus. It is a Venus worship temple, and Venus is another name for Lucifer. So if you go and watch the original, the long video that I just went and took this information off of, it will be able to explain to you how these 8 pillars in Templar design are the same 8 pillars that Bethel is using on their design.
In the sense that this building is a calendar, not only to keep track of all the days of the year, but most importantly, days like Easter. And you know what the symbol for Easter is? That goes all the way back to Mesopotamian times? The egg. John Dee was related at all to the Templar. They have the same tradition of sacred knowledge. And you don't think there's a connection at all? Well, the Templar...
Did you see his hand sign was the devil horns? And he said, you don't see any connection at all. But the other guy just said that they had the same sacred knowledge. But they're not related at all. There's that many sects of these occultists that they could be not related at all, but still completely related by lodge.
Templars pretty much got obliterated, most of them in the 1300s, and John Dee was 1500. We're talking 250 years later. You mentioned that the Templars were put down and destroyed, right? Right. Okay, you understand the concept that you can kill people, right? Right. But do you think you can kill an ideology or a belief system? Sure you can. They come and go all the time. Well, I maintain that that ideology continued on in secret. And the information is out there, and more of this information about these secret societies that evolved from the Knights Templar. I think the Freemasons are the modern-day keepers of Templar secrets. Many of our nation's founders, such as Benjamin Franklin, John Hancock, and George Washington, were Freemasons. The societies still exist today, with many prominent men continuing these sacred traditions. And we see a lot of symbols in our society that I think are shared by both the Templars and the Freemasons. To me, this is all evidence that their ideology lived on beyond the people that started it. I'm convinced this is a Templar structure. It's got the architecture that's spot on. It's got the archaeoastronomy features that we know the Templars embraced. They would incorporate it into their ancient structures. We've got the solar alignments and, of course, the illumination.
Okay, all the stuff he just talked about, the alignments and all that stuff, it all works with Bethel's Alabaster Prayer House too. I have a video that says Bethel Alabaster Prayer House on ley lines or something like that. That explains how this, what he's talking about, works.
We've got symbolism. You've got the egg shape, the Master Mason's keystone. We read different ways, but that's okay. But there's something else about the Templars that's very important. They had a reverence for the planet Venus. Venus to them, and to many other ancient cultures, was a physical manifestation of the goddess in the heavens. Very, very important. So if this was a Templar structure...
Okay, so they had an understanding that this was a goddess in the heavens. Now, hold on one second, because this is where I'm going to break off from this whole idea of the 8 pillars. These same 8 pillars are the same 8 pillars from Bethel. I'll get back to that in a minute, but let me show you something else. Okay, here is a quote from Benny Johnson, wife of Bethel pastor. I was talking with Ray Hughes the other day and was telling him about using a 528 hertz tuning fork as a prophetic act. Someone told me that this tuning fork is called the sound that holds the earth. That blew me away. Now, this is the Kabbalah tree. These are their tuning forks for Archangel Kabbalah tree, tree of life, healing tuning forks. This is what she was playing with, is these forks. These forks she's trying to turn on the electricity, we'll call it, inside this schematic. If you look at the middle pillar and the second from the top, right here, this one, if you go into astrology and that kind of stuff, that is called the sun, like the sunshine. Well, hold on. This is the 528. This is what it looks like. This is another one of their hertz. This is charismatic witchcraft. That is the sign for Nimrod, the buck, the great hunter. This is how the octagon is venerated inside Freemasonry and inside the Templars. That's the same design for the roof. That's the same locations of the 8 pillars. Same 8 pillars. Christianity and the Secret Societies. Kabbalism, the Essences, Babylon, Islamic Societies, the Gnostics, the Templars, the Rosicrucians, the Jesuits, and the Freemasons. Bill Johnson's knighting ceremony shows that he's a 32nd degree Freemason. And it would be interesting to see what kind of cross that is that Chris is wearing on his shirt while he's doing this. How can you guys not understand that these guys are Freemasons that are performing Freemason rituals right in front of you and not understand that they are worshiping Lucifer? Canon Andrew White was speaking at Bethel for a lot of years. In School of Supernatural Ministry, he is a Grand Commander of the Order of Merit of the Knights Templar International. See how the B is broken into 3 pieces? Do you think that B kind of resembles a 6? And if you break the 6 into 3 pieces, it would make into a hidden number 666? Because that's how deep these occultists get. See the upward pyramid hand sign that Rick Joyner is doing while he's sitting next to Bill Johnson and General, I don't remember his name, Boykin. How did I just remember that? That's not on that slide. Thank you. So that's General Boykin. He used to speak at Calvary Chapels all the time, and his book was for sale in Calvary Chapels. And I wouldn't believe anybody that's practicing Sunday worship or Calvary Chapel dispensational theology. It all comes through these types of roots. It all goes back to Rome, and it all is part of Babylon. The faith that has to do with Yeshua and Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob ends up having a Sabbath, ends up having once a week, ends up having feasts that we keep, and we keep the Torah as best as we can because that is the law that God gave us. And so we are not perfect, but we are still supposed to try and follow what he asked us to do. The first covenant and the second covenant are identical. The only parts that changed was when the blood was shed and Yeshua came back, that allowed for the people who are outside of the covenant to now come into the covenant because we were not clean. And now we've been covered by the blood. So now we are white. So if you are following these guys, you are practicing actual Luciferianism. That's who they worship, Lucifer. They practice Kabbalah because the foundation upon which all Freemason teachings are based is the Kabbalah. Right here, the Enneagram is based on the Kabbalah, and Bethel is selling Enneagram books. On their website. That's Kabbalah. Remember when we showed the 528 hertz and had that little star? That's where these guys are getting their occultism from. This is Stephanie asking, is anyone here into the Enneagram? Unless you're willing to study it, leave it be. Okay. They're selling the books in Bethel. It's Kabbalah. I just changed the name of the backup channel from Exposing Bethel and More. I changed it to Wake Up Writing so that it matches the Facebook page, because if you look up the Exposing Bethel information, it's all under Facebook Wake Up Writing. So this is now the backup. But I set up something for you. Go over here to playlists, and these 15 videos, I put them in order. This top one will explain to you what the Kabbalah is, where it came from, and then this one will end up showing you that in the book of Acts, when Paul is dealing with one of the churches, they are practicing Kabbalah. They realize that they're practicing Kabbalah. They take their books, they burn them, and they count up the price of what their books would cost, and it was 50,000 pieces of silver. So, there's already a story about people who are practicing what Bethel's practicing in the Bible. There's already an example of what we need to do to be done with them. And so, the people inside Bethel that hear this video, watch that video, understand that you guys practicing Kabbalah is part of that. Now, here's Stephanie saying this stuff that was quoted, and then here is the Kabbalah explanation of where the Enneagram came from. All the New Age teachings are from the Kabbalah. So this Bethel New Age and mysticism, it's all based on Kabbalah, what she's teaching. Right here is Chris Valentin teaches Adam Kadmon Kabbalah. This is where he's made God into a hermaphrodite. And so you have to go understand that's Templar, that's Baphomet worship, and God does not have a female side. The name Shekinah comes from the bottom Sephirot in the Tree of Life that I'm going to show you, that connects with Bethel's Alabaster Prayer House again at the end of this video. But this, the Shekinah is supposed to be the female Holy Spirit inside this occult. All grave soaking comes from the Kabbalah. It's Jewish mysticism, and that's explained inside this video. Divination comes from the Kabbalah. It's trying to get information from an outside source that's not already inside Scripture. You can't do that. It's witchcraft. If you go to Deuteronomy 18, all the things that are listed that say don't do this, it's an abomination, all of those things in Deuteronomy 18 are connected. Is it verses 10 through 12, I believe? All of those are this list. It all matches together. This is one of the Bethelites inviting other Bethelites to go and participate in astrology. This explains that the cult that was doing all of this other Kabbalah stuff is the one who is making the children to pass between the fires. This is Rick Warren doing contemplative prayer. It's connected to the Kabbalah. This is Rick Warren, John Piper, C. Peter Wagner, and Ralph Winter teaching the Kabbalah. This is Chuck Pierce teaching the Kabbalah. This is all with explanations of what they're teaching. It gives the example of them teaching it, and then it gives the example of where it comes from in the Kabbalah. Numerology, the angel number stuff that Sean Foyt is doing, is connected to the Kabbalah. Shekinah is the bottom Sephirot. It is Lucifer. That's a whole nother one that explains that it's Lucifer. Freemasonry is based on Kabbalah. The Manly P. Hall and Albert Pike both said the Kabbalah is the foundation upon which all Freemason teachings are based, and this whole NAR group is teaching Kabbalah. Okay, remember the octagon. Remember the octagon, and this is the eye at the top, so this is where the light's coming in. This is Bethel's new building that they're spending $150 million on. Notice the octagon? Why is that such an important design aspect for these people? Do you notice how it works, though? It happens all the time. They're putting their octagons, their land markers, for the Templars. Okay, knowing all that, let's go back to this. See that pyramid up on top? Remember how it matched with the octagons and all that stuff? Pyramids, okay? Pyramid meaning pyro and middle fire. If you go on to the Kabbalah tree, one sec. We get this. Each of those red dots, oops, sorry, I might have had my phone hand over the speaker. Each of those red dots is where the pillars are at for the holding up the building. This design in the Kabbalah connects heaven and soul. Oh, and the number 8, as in octagon. If you lay the Sephiroth tree over the top of this design, the number 6 will sit right on top of the pyramid, and the number 6 inside this kind of thinking means sun. So the sunshine inside one of the things is also equal to where the middle fire is for the pyramid.
Hundreds of years later, the house of Israel would get dispersed into all the nations, right? The whole kingdom being divided. Hundreds of years after that, Messiah's death, burial, and resurrection is the mechanism for the house of Israel to return nigh unto Elohim. With that, everybody else. Right? You were aliens from the commonwealth of Israel. Now, by the blood of Messiah, you can come back. At Shavuot, the kingdom of Elohim begins to be ushered in, reuniting Israel and now allowing all nations to come to Elohim and become a part of Israel.
Okay, listen to what he says about the pyramid and how pyramids are used for people to become possessed by other gods.
Thus, the effects of the Tower of Babel begin to be reversed, in a way reminiscent to Mount Sinai. There's your common thread. In all of these three examples, you have a mount, Babel, they made their own mountain, as it were. In the pagan mindset, in the ancient Near Eastern mindset, the reason they built ziggurats, pyramids, is because it was to impersonate a mountain, because at the top of the mountain was where the gods would come and divine with men. Then we have Mount Sinai, and
did you hear that? So they would build the pyramids because that's where the pagans would build the pyramids because that's where they would have messengers that would come and talk to them, divine, with men. They would talk to men while they were making a fake Mount Sinai.
Ziggurats, pyramid. Babel, they made their own mountain, as it were. In the pagan mindset, in the ancient Near Eastern mindset, the reason they built ziggurats, pyramids, is because it was to impersonate a mountain, because at the top of the mountain was where the gods would come and divine with men. Then we have Mount Sinai, and where was the temple situated on the Temple Mount? We have a mountain, we have languages, we have... Do you see the links?
Okay, hold on. Do you see the links? The mountain and the languages. Hold on. Bethel's Alabaster prayer house is set on top of a high hill, surrounded by the flags of many nations, And those many nations are the different languages that were broken up at the Tower of Babel. Those flags are going around the high place that has the Alabaster prayer house up on top. That's the lion that is looking to the north. Do you think these guys don't understand the symbology of everything they're doing? In the exact same way that there's a river going underneath the sundial bridge, and it makes a reflection so that they can do their as above, so below reflections. There's this Bethesda's pool or whatever it is. Now, look at the building. See these concrete pillars? Those are the same 8 concrete pillars that designed this building, that were the 8 pillars that made the Newport Tower that I showed you earlier. This whole building can be used as a Venus worship, Lucifer worship temple, and you can be able to use the pyramid to be able to become possessed, get mounted by one of the gods, by one of the fallen angels that you are communicating with while you're inside this building that is connected to the Kabbalah, the scripturally referenced doctrine of devils. That's what Bethel's teaching. They're charging their students to practice the Kabbalah. That's what BSSM is Knights training. Knights are 32nd degree Freemasons. Freemasonry is founded on Kabbalah. And we have Knights Templar, Knights of Malta, Knights of, like, the guys that are the heads of this are they all have to be practicing Kabbalah, or they can't be 32nd degree Freemasons and have the knighting ceremonies done. They worship Lucifer. Shekinah, the bottom Sephiroth, inside the Kabbalah tree, is Lucifer worship.
Tonight's Fact or Fiction is brought to you by America's Finest Carpet.
In tonight's Fact or Fiction, we're looking into an image from Google Earth. It's getting some buzz. It shows an area of Antarctica that some people claim clearly has pyramids covered in snow. Several websites say the pyramids were likely made by an intelligent human civilization long ago. It's pure fiction. The so-called pyramids in the Google Earth image are just mountains. Their pyramid-like shape is...
So, this is not my great-grandpa, but my great-grandpa was a 32nd degree Shriner. He was a hand grip, which means that in Hollywood, he took care of either the sound or the lights for a lot of movies. If you go and look up the, is it EMDB? Whatever it is for actors. He's got a whole list of stuff that he was hand grip for. A bunch of the stuff was Bing Crosby. You don't get to be inside Hollywood and be around people like that unless you're inside these societies. Proof's in the pudding. My family wasn't allowed to be in there unless they were high-ups. That's the way this works.
Lucifer, what is your problem?
Just that, sir.
Okay.
I'm a Christian, sir.
I'm pure and virtuous and wholesome and innocent. How can you say anything bad about me?
Sir, you need to be born again.
I am born again.
Now, did you just say that you were Lucifer?
I am Lucifer.
Okay, define Lucifer for me.
Pure, virtuous, wholesome, innocent individual that's out to help people.
Lucifer is?
Yeah.
Say that again. Lucifer is a pure, holy, virtuous. Now, is he the Lucifer that God created?
That's the same one.
Oh, man, this is great. I'm going to put this on the internet.
Oh,
Amen.
God bless you,
Amen.
brother.
Because that's exactly what the Shriners and Masons teach, is that Lucifer is light.
No.
And
What
you're
about those
confirming it.
hospitals?
You know what, sir? Jesus said, many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, we did not do these good deeds in your name. And you'll say, away from me, you workers of iniquity. I never knew you.
Jesus said that?
In Matthew chapter 5.
Mercy.
No.
That's hard to believe.
So you're a Christian and you don't know that.
No,
Actually,
I really am.
you are.
Because I'm pure and virtuous.
You're pure and virtuous, okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, you're perfect without Jesus, right?
No.
Okay, tell me about Jesus. Who is Jesus?
He's my leader.
Is he the Son of God?
Yes, he
Is he
is.
the only worshipful master?
Yes.
Have you ever been called worshipful master?
No, because I've just been too busy. I've been working. Working to help people.
What
like
kind
you.
of work? Okay.
Get out of here.
See, this is what a Mason confesses, is that Lucifer is light.